Let's face it, buying a home can be expensive, and it's really hard to keep on top of all those little costs that could creep up along the way and make life a little bit more stressful. So I'm going to break it down in today's video to make sure you understand the cost or estimated cost of buying your first home. Hi, I'm Sam Fox and welcome to my YouTube channel. On here, I talk about budgeting, finances, mortgages, property, savings, buying your first house, whatever I can do to help the UK understand the home buying journey and to make it as stress-free as possible. So if that sounds like you, do me a massive favor, hit like and subscribe to our channel. And if you've got any questions along the way, drop them in the comments below. So let's get to it. So I'm going to start with one of the chunky ones, which is conveyancing fees. Now, a conveyancer or solicitor is the firm that's going to act on your behalf to do all the sorts of things like your land searches, make sure everything in the property, sign on a piece of paper is going to be yours, they check the title deeds and all that kind of thing. Now, their fee is going to be dependent on the purchase price. So the more expensive the house, make sure you understand that it will cost you more money to do so. But on average, basing off the average house price, the legal fee, not everything else, the legal fee will be around £1,100 maybe, about £1,000, up to about £1,600, £1,700. And that can vary depending on the conveyancer that you use, their pricing, so it is worth doing your own research. So the next thing to move on to is mortgage fees. Now what I mean here is a product fee. Now a product fee is set by a lender, which means they charge you for that product. There's typically two types. I call it like a sister product, for example. There's a mortgage product without any fees and there's a mortgage product with fees. Now paying a fee might get you better interest rates. Now working with the mortgage broker, they're going to help you determine what's better to either pay the mortgage fee or to go for a fee-free option, and then the lender will offer you an option in most cases to add that mortgage fee onto the loan, which then is going to incur interest and you pay it over, say, 25 years. So that's why I always say it's worth working with an advisor and they'll help you understand the true cost of that mortgage and what's best to do in that scenario. The next thing is surveys. So there are a couple of different types which we'll break down, but a survey cost might be £250, maybe £1,500. And again, like the legal fees, it can be dependent on the property price and or the number of bedrooms in there as well. A valuation survey might be charged by a lender, so they might say, chuck us 200 quid and we'll do a valuation. It might just be a desktop one, but nevertheless, that product might come with a fee that you need to pay. That's typically on application as well. Let's look at the other surveys as well. We've got the Homebuyer's report, which is a lot more in depth. They're going to go through and make sure we're checking things for like damp. You know, if you're going in and you're not seeing them as a first time buyer, they'll be thorough with the property and make sure you understand what might need doing with the property. Then you've got the building survey, which is the next step up, and it might be called level 3, which literally goes through warts and all of a property to tell you everything about the structure of it, anything that might be impacted in the future, and potential costs associated as well. So the home buyer's report might be, say, £400 to £1,000, where the level 3 survey, the building survey, might be sort of £600 to £1,500. Now we typically recommend having those if you're buying a property that is a lot older. So if you're buying a house that was built 6 years ago, you might not want a full building survey, but if you're buying a house that's 80 years old, that's when you might want to consider having that building survey. Okay, so then going back to part of the legal process, we have something called searches. Now, more often than not, a solicitor will call it a search pack, and you pay the search pack and they order these searches from different areas. And it'll check like the water drainage, it'll check flood risk areas, it'll check the title deeds of the property, and typically those are dependent on the local council. So it's not necessarily a fee where the lawyer's going to make or solicitor's going to make a profit from you. It's going directly to these things to pay for those searches, to bring them all back, and then they can advise you on that property. And typically you're looking maybe £250 up to about £500. Now, stamp duty is one for first-time buyers to consider. So it might be nothing, it might be 15 grand. Now, this all varies on the price and the buyer status. So you need to make sure when you're working with the solicitor, you understand the stamp duty because they have just changed. And I'll make sure we put a graphic on screen now so you can see the old stamp duty and you can see the new stamp duty as well. And on top of that, we have recorded a video before. All you need to do is click up here. Chris is going to drop it there and you can watch that in full and learn more about stamp duty if you want to. You've got some little costs to consider, like hiring a van maybe, if you need to shift loads of stuff to a house, and boxes as well. Those little bad boys can be quite expensive, especially if you go to a local storage facility and buy 10 boxes, might cost you 20, 30, 40 quid depending on the size. So make sure you've got little bits of cash around, saved extra when you're buying your house, so you're not going to be tempted to get that credit card out, put money on there before you're due to complete. The other big thing that you need to factor in is your deposit. Now, lots and lots of people come to us with just the deposit amount. So aside to all of that I've just mentioned, you need to make sure you've got a minimum of 5% unless you're lucky enough to qualify for a 100% mortgage and that's approved and you don't need a deposit, you just need to cover all those fees, but we'll save that for another day. But you might need to consider 5% deposit all the way up until 20-25% of the purchase price, which is a big chunk that you need to have there ready for when the solicitor asks for it. And then to finish off, you've got all the ongoing costs, which I'm not even going to try to put in this video since they vary so much across the UK, but we do have another video breaking all of these down, which you can click on here and take a good look at it. And look, I know I've gone through a lot today, and buying a house can be stressful, but that's why mortgage brokers like me are here to ensure you understand what you need to do now going forward and what paperwork and costs you need to have associated with an application to make sure it's as stress-free as possible. As always, thank you so much if you've made it to the end of this video. It really is appreciated. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, drop any comments that you have in the box below, and if you do want to reach out to me direct, it's nice and easy. It's sam@ukmc.co.uk. I'll see you next time for the next update.